be a challenge to everybody on YouTube. See if you can come up with something for me. You know, all these proponents of government involvement in all of the biggest issues in our lives, in healthcare and education, in retirement, in employment, and everything else, I've always got those guys that, you know, say government is the answer. This really struck me when I was watching Michael Moore on Larry King defend his movie Sicko, and the question came into him and said, Michael, the government that you've been so critical of in your other movies, the way he was of the Bush administration in Fahrenheit 9/11, you know, as critical as you've been of the government, why would you want to turn something so important as our healthcare over to the government? And Michael Moore said, no, I don't hate government. He said, I love our government. It's just the people that we have in there right now is what I don't like. So that's the common argument for every socialist that you hear out there. It's always the government is the answer to our problems. We just haven't been able to get the right system in yet. We haven't been able to get the right people in place. If we could just get the smart people in there that really knew how to plan and how to the policies to enact and everything, we could have better lives, and the government would make our lives better. But we just haven't got the right people in there yet. And of course, that's totally false. The government fails at everything they stick their hands in, besides two things: fighting legitimate wars, in other words, national defense, and enforcing laws. And that has gone throughout history into societies, you know, in the times before Christ, all the way up to our current system. And in the American government, that has crossed party lines and party affiliations and, you know, left wing, right wing. Governments have not been able to do anything successfully. The government can't educate our children. We hear reports all the time about how our school children get out of school and they can't read and they can't perform their job functions. They can't educate our children. Government cannot reduce poverty. There have been studies done that, you know, show how precipitously poverty was dropping in this country until the 1940s, when FDR enacted his programs that let the government into every aspect of your life, and then on into the 60s with the Great Society that LBJ proposed. Poverty leveled off during those times after 80 years of steady decline. The government can't reduce poverty. The government cannot provide for your retirement. Social Security is going in the toilet. The government can't provide for your health care. Medicaid and Medicare are a disaster, grossly underfunded, going bankrupt. Governments can't protect you from terrorism. You know, 9/11 happened under the Bush watch. The USS Cole was attacked under Clinton. The embassies were bombed under Clinton. That's across party lines. The government can't give you commodities for a cheap price. A Republican government under Nixon tried to put price controls on the gas industry, and it failed miserably. Wound up with shortages, lines that stretched from here to yon to try to get gas in the 70s. You know, everything they stick their hand in, they fail at. They cannot get mail on time. They cannot deliver mail on time. Something that's so simple. UPS and FedEx have 98, 99% delivery rates. But the government, you find truckloads of mail stashed underneath dumpsters outside of post offices, because if it's inside the post office and it's not delivered on time, it's considered late. So they keep it actually physically outside the post office and then say they have a great record. They don't. Mail's lost all the time. They couldn't get mail done overnight when it was the U.S. government. But when they opened it up for private enterprise with companies like FedEx and UPS, they can get it there on time. Now the government tries to get it there on time. They do sometimes, but not even as good as the private companies. Not even to mention the fact they couldn't even conceive the idea when it was a government-run monopoly. So they don't educate, they don't reduce poverty, they don't help us in any manner other than fighting legitimate wars. Illegitimate wars, they don't have a good record with that either. We see the disaster in Iraq. We see Clinton. Clinton failed miserably in Somalia and Bosnia. That's not an invention of the Republican-run administration that we have right now. Governments fail miserably in illegitimate wars. Vietnam, Korea, we failed. World War I, World War II, resounding successes on the side of the Americans against legitimate threats to our national security. So, here's the challenge to YouTube. If you agree with me or disagree with me or what have you, I don't care. Here's the challenge. Find me one thing that governments have done successfully that private enterprise couldn't do. The FAA couldn't keep those planes from running into our buildings. They couldn't do it. Another government-run entity. They couldn't do what they were supposed to do. What their job was to do, they could not do it. Name me one thing that governments have done that private enterprise couldn't do besides win legitimate wars and enforce laws and enforce contracts. Name me one thing. Either text it or send a video response. I'll be glad to hear any government success that you can come up with besides those two things. But I have to tell you, history's not on your side. So, good luck. Let me know what you come up with.